Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. Today in this video we're going to look at scopes, scope mounts, how you mount a scope and what kind of scope you should be looking for. Now this is really a generalisation, really generalised, because each to their own. We all have different tastes, we all have different things we want to do, we all have different things we like. I've started off with my HW30 on the bench here because I got a lot of questions in comments. Always ask me the questions in comments. I love getting comments on there. It gives me something to do, answering your questions. But I got a lot of people asking, what was the scope I had on the 30? Now, it is actually a cheap and nasty V-Life or possibly OV-Life 4x21 with adjustable parallax. Now it is a copy of the Hakko S2 or Optima Gamekeeper. Okay, and if you happen to have a Hakko S2 or an Optima Gamekeeper like this that you want to sell, let me know. I've always wanted one. I can't find one, so I got one because these look the same and I thought it would be a nice thing to try, and it does look nice. It goes on okay. The glass isn't great in there. I'm going to be testing this rifle with this scope on it for accuracy, so that will tell us how functional it is. But that's a small scope for a small rifle and it suits it perfectly. And that's the problem, I think, is suiting things perfectly. Now, usually when I'm on Facebook or a forum and somebody asks about a scope, it'll be something along the lines of, I've got this massive great scope, what mounts do I need? That is the wrong question, okay? Completely the wrong question. And this video, I'm going to show you why I think that's the wrong question firstly, and what order you should be starting off in. Now, firstly, when I'm talking about choosing your scope for your rifle, I'm talking about air rifles, okay? Spring-powered air rifles, mainly for use at 12 foot-pounds or less UK powers. Why you would want 18 to 36 by 60 something with adjustable this and a French tickler that and a lighty up the other for 25 quid off eBay, I don't know, but I can tell you it's not going to be very good. There are, you got 25 quid, but you know what I mean. There are lots of big jangly vajazzle scopes online for not very much money. You think, well, all those numbers are big numbers, they must be very good. They're almost certainly not. Like this one, I knew it wasn't going to be very good when I ordered it. Realistically, you are better off with something smaller but better quality. That's the general rule. I know some of you target guys, you have big scopes, big magnifications, but that's for completely different reasons. To do with being able to get right in on the target, using it for range estimation, things like that. And I totally get that, and you are right for doing that. But I'm talking about the general guys who buy a couple of £300 spring air rifle and then strap this bloody great monstrosity on the top. Now, talking of bloody great monstrosities, this is a Hawk, bear with, Vantage 30mm tube, wide angle, infrared, many things it has, many things. This came on an air rifle, a bog standard air rifle. It just wanted to flip upside down when you put it on there, so I actually got an AR-15, so I've put it on the top of that, and it's perfect for 200-meter target shooting. HW99 probably not so suited for the job. There's scopes suited to different jobs, and although if you're into FT in a very big way, this might be suitable. You know, it's too big. It's too big for that kind of thing, in my opinion. So asking the wrong questions, that's what I wanted to talk about. Asking the wrong questions. And what I'm going to do is try and show you how to ask the right questions. And I've got a gun here, not a particularly good one, that hasn't got a scope on it, and because I've got it shooting quite nicely now, I want to put a scope on it. so that I can take it outside and do some shooting to show you. So here's how you choose a scope for your gun. I've got a rather crappy BSA that are in 25 caliber that's going to be used out to 30 yards. So the first thing we do when choosing a scope is pick up our gun, close our eyes, shoulder our gun and get comfortable. And then we open our eyes. Where are we looking? Well, I'm looking there. That's where my eye line is. That's quite low. So if I got a set of high mounts like this, I'm just going to pop these on here to show you a demonstration, if you will, of what it is what I am talking about. Now, the BSA rail is a different size to everybody else's as well, which is a pain in the bottom. So say you had some massive French tickler scope and you needed these mounts to get it onto your gun. Talk amongst yourselves. So we're going to do what we did again, and I should have done this first time with these on. Thinking about it, hindsight's a wonderful thing. So we should get our gun, we close our eyes, we shoulder our gun, we get comfortable. We open our eyes. As you can see, you can see the top of my head through those wings. So they are too high. So any scope that needs mounts that high is too big for this gun. You'd end up literally, to get comfortable on there, where are we? There you go. I've got my chin on top of the cone. It's just crazy. It's ridiculous. So the Lightning has a low comb height anyway. We know that. And it has a high rail because it's got the Maxi Grip rail. So it's at a double disadvantage. So what I'm actually going to do, I mean, as far as mounts go, you can get, these are 25mm highs. You can get reach around ones. You can get weaver rail ones, which I use on centre fire. These are steel ones, which are going to be destined for my 243 when I eventually get the rail adapters for that. But what I've got here is a single piece low mount. It's not particularly good single piece low mount. It's just, I'm not after expensive stuff to put on this. So if we put that on there, just give them a little tweak up, and then we do our thing again of get the gun, and we get comfortable with our eyes shut, open your eyes, and you're looking down the centre of the mounts. That's what you're after. That means that is the height you want your scope at, and you choose your scope to match. So I'm just going to give it a little tweak there, and now I'm going to choose a scope. I use 2-7 by 32 or 33 on virtually all of my air guns, but good quality ones. A Hawk Air Max is a very good scope. That's what I've got on my HW97. That's a Hawk Air Max on that rifle. And I think for an air rifle, for general use, that's all the scope it needs. The advantage of having a smaller objective lens, the front lens, is depth of field, because a lot of scopes have adjustable parallax on them, which means you can fine focus it and allow for parallax error side to side if your head's not in the correct place. That's great, but the larger the objective lens is, the less depth of view you get on a certain parallax setting, which is great if you're target shooting, because then you get your target, you fine focus it, then you look at the ring and it will tell you approximately how far away your target is, you compensate, blah blah blah. But if you're in the field after rabbits and you start doing that, the rabbit's going to get bored, he's going to walk away. So what you want is something quick that you can just aim and fire with. And 2-7 by 32s and 33s are pretty much where it's at. Now that one's actually a Redfield Revolution. I've got Redfield Revolutions on my rimfires, and this one is actually going on the HW95. I'm going to be mounting that in a bit, because that's where it was before I stripped it down for one of my videos. So I've got a 32 there. It's just a basic 4x32. In fact, it's some CAC make, a VZ scope or something like that. It doesn't really matter because it's only going to be used for very, very short range. And that's an RTI 40, and that's probably, is that a 3 to 9? Yeah, 3 to 9 by 40. That's probably the largest you'd want to go. In fact, let's put that one on because it's got a zoom, and that actually looks quite nicely balanced because it's quite chunky. So that's as large as you really want to go with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a couple of screws into the saddles here and show you what we need to do next, because this is all part of the plan. Now, somebody I know, he's a nice enough fella, but every time I look through one of his rifles, the crosshairs are like that. Do you know that they're like that? And that's because he holds the gun in his shoulder at a dodgy angle. And he says it doesn't matter because they're straight when he looks through it. But if you're holding your scope at a dodgy angle, what it actually means is your crosshairs here. Well, when it's straight, your crosshairs here and your barrel's there, and the pellet goes up and down like that to the target. If it's on the wonk, then that's here and that's going like that. So if you're compensating for that wonk, it's going to cross over that line and then go to the other side of it. Creates all kinds of issues. So that's not a good thing. I didn't put the screw in that one. That's why it's not doing up. Now, when you put your first screws in, it is important. Well, it's not important. It's nice to make sure you get a similar gap on each side of the ring. Just by feel. I'm just doing it by feel here. So that it's not all clamped up tight on one side and waving around in the air on the other side. So that, I'm just giving a little bit of pressure there. And now what we need to do is we're getting comfortable again. And we're looking through the scope again, and that's too close to me. So I just want to move that forward a little bit. Not an awful lot, probably to there. That's perfect. And now what we want to do, and this really is the tricky bit, is we want to get those crosshairs level inside of, you can see possibly, that's on the wonk that way at the moment. So bring it around there and try and get it as good as you can, like that. And then you're constantly referencing the gun. So one good way of doing it, although it isn't foolproof, because nothing is foolproof, and I don't have my steel rule to hand, which is quite typical, but one way to do it is rest the steel rule across the back of the stock here. You've got a small edge there, or you can on this one do it across the scope rails, and then you're just referencing with both eyes open your crosshairs against your steel rule, and you're trying to get them both square. So when you're happy with the distance and you're happy that it's square, you then need to tighten them down. Now I've only got 2 in each one. I'll put the others in a minute. You don't have to watch me do that. But all you need to do is tweak them. So they go down until they're tight, and then a tweak. Tight, and then a tweak. Because you don't want to overdo it, because you'll crimp the tube, you'll deform the tube. And you do those clockwise a couple of times round, because as you tighten one, the other one will go slack. So you're not putting much pressure on, just tweak, 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 and that is it. If your gun is behaving nicely, if you've gone inside of it and got rid of any unnecessary weight, lubed it properly, things like that, you're not going to have too much recoil and it's not going to break. When it comes to recoil and springers and scopes, I've never had a scope break, and I've been shooting springers since 1980-ish. Never had I couldn't afford a scope back then, but never had a scope break. Even the old crappy 4x20s that we used to take apart to clean on a cold day because they misted up inside, they didn't actually break from the recoil of the gun. But I would say, rather than buying a big flamboyant scope, look for a good make, a respected make, and get the best you can afford. Go for quality of glass, quality of components, rather than the size and the magnification. I hope that's helped somebody. I hope it has. We're going to shoot this gun next, but I'm hoping that will help somebody with mounting a scope, or choosing a scope, or choosing their mounts. You don't buy a scope and then ask what mounts you want. you find the mounts you need to shoot the gun correctly, and then buy the scope to fit the mounts. Please like, subscribe and hit notifications. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all again soon.